Live from the Business RadioX studio inside Renaissance Bank, the bank that specializes in understanding you. It's time for North Fulton Business Radio.
And here we are again, folks, another edition of North Fulton Business Radio. I'm John Ray, and we are coming to you from the Business RadioX studio inside Renaissance Bank in beautiful Alpharetta. And folks, today you're connected more than ever. Whether it's your friends, your family, or your life, Renaissance understands how you bank, offering the mobile banking services that you need. Renaissance also knows that sometimes you need to speak to real people with real answers, and that's why Renaissance has more than 190 convenient locations throughout the South ready to serve you. For more information, go to renaissancebank.com. Renaissance Bank, understanding you, member FDIC. I'd like to welcome Jim Weber to the program. Jim is the managing partner with ITB Partners. Jim, welcome.
Good morning. Thank you.
It's great to have you here.
Good to be here.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about ITB Partners. How do you help folks?
Well, we essentially connect freelance consultants with opportunities out there to ply their trade and to get jobs.
Wow. Now, there's a lot in that. So tell us where your consultants come from, what kind of disciplines they have, specialties they have, et cetera.
Right. Well, half of our members, our consultants, have been doing independent consulting for 10 to 20 years. And they're out there on their own, trying to develop their business and at the same time trying to take care of their clients' needs. The other half of our consultants are essentially coming out of the corporate world. They're either senior executives that are looking to do project work or freelance consulting as a bridge strategy to find that next great job, or they're deciding to dial it back and get more control of their life and do something different. And in that case, we help them essentially make the transition from the corporate world to become an independent consultant working as a freelancer.
Lots of turmoil in corporate America. I think that's been a trend for many years now. And it seems like this is a prime area of that kind of trend here in the North Fulton market.
Well, the changes that are resulting from moving through into the digital age is prompting a lot of that. So there's a lot of disruption from new companies that are developing and providing the same service, so to speak, to the consumer or businesses in a different, less expensive way. There are companies that are being acquired. Private equity groups continue to be very active out there. And there's a lot of companies that are adapting, taking better use of technology to reduce their workforce and to become more efficient, which is continuing to put people on the street, even though we're in a far better economy right now and people are going back to work a lot quicker.
Sure. Now, let's say I've left corporate America. I want to go out on my own. Maybe I've taken a client with me. Maybe my old employer is my first client, right? That's a pretty typical story. Why not just do this on my own versus come to you at ITB Partners?
Well, I could say that if you've started an independent consulting career and have taken your prior employer along with you as your first client, you are well on the way to having a successful career, because that is exactly what you want to try to do.
Sure.
But things happen, things change, so you need to constantly be generating new clients, new customers, and keep that business development activity flourishing. So the problem is when you're on your own, you're on your own. So you have to worry about not just the business development aspects of your business and completing the engagement that you signed up for with your client. You've got to be out there engaged in public relations activities and digital marketing activities. Social media is still very important in terms of broadening your reach and getting your message out to more folks. And there's always the accounting and administration and other aspects of running your business. So what we provide is essentially leverage. We help that one person operation focus on what they do best, which is executing for their client. And we provide support on the business development side as well as the marketing and public relations side, but also on the skills development side. So we also have training and development that help them make the transition from being a corporate executive or staff person to be more effective as a independent consultant.
And that's probably, it's interesting you mentioned that particular point, because I hear this again and again from folks in corporate that they didn't realize how much was done for them while they were in corporate and how much they were essentially high and dry when they went out on their own.
Right.
In terms of a lot of functions that need to get done.
That's exactly right. So, so our group, right now we've got 85 members, and our group is composed of everything from accounting and finance professionals, mostly controllers and fractional CFOs, to a broad group of marketing folks that cover the spectrum, as well as HR, supply chain and logistics, and corporate development operations. And within the group, we've got a good group of people that have all the skills that you need as an independent consultant to not just to present yourself and your capabilities, but to close the deal and then to keep the engagement alive over a long period of time.
Sure. Now let's talk a little bit, Jim, about the client. Who is your typical client? Because you also work directly with clients and help essentially matchmake, right?
Correct. Well, our clients are primarily mid-cap companies. They're everything from family-owned businesses to subchapter S or LLC or other structures. But they're primarily $500 million and below. We do have clients that are Fortune 500 or divisions of Fortune 500. So they're in that $20 million to $500 million revenue range. Most of our clients are people that are either at the front end of their business life cycle, so they're either startups or they're moving into rapid development. And so we help them not make mistakes that can put them out of business early on.
Sure.
And then we help them prepare for, a really significant exit. So in other words, make sure that the business is generating all the revenue and profit it can so it'll achieve the highest sales value when they decide to execute a liquidation or sell the business. And so we have a M&A group that's involved in that as well.
Oh, wow. So if I'm a client with the profile you talked about and maybe a mid-cap company, what's the value of calling you for the problem that I've got, a solution to the problem that I have?
That's a good question, and there's actually a number of different responses to that. The first bit of value that we offer is helping to minimize the risk of either hiring a full-time equivalent or bringing on a consultant. So if you're thinking about hiring a full-time equivalent, it's one of the most risky things you can do. Even in my career, when I was hiring a lot of people, I felt good if I was batting 500. So in other words, for every 2 people I hired, 1 didn't work out and had to leave. When you're a smaller business and don't have necessarily all the human resources support behind you, your risk factor is probably a lot greater and the cost, is sizable. So by providing them the opportunity of engaging a freelance consultant or an independent consultant, a 1099 employee, you minimize that risk immediately. So you have the option of working with that person on an engagement and getting to know them, getting to trust them, getting to see whether or not they fit within your culture. And if they do, then you probably will have a full-time hire that is going to beat the odds and be, a much longer-term success for you. So that's one of the real big benefits of reducing the risk. The other piece is that you're able to hire people that are specialists in solving mitigating whatever problem you might have, as opposed to taking one of your other employees off task to do something maybe they're not fully equipped with and have to learn on the job, so to speak, to execute that. So what we do is help them keep their employees focused on what they do best, and then we'll come in and solve their problem with people that are highly competent and specialized in solving the problems that they have on the table.
Yeah, it strikes me, Jim, that some folks may clearly be able to define the problem, but maybe not know exactly what the solution is. It's not totally clear who I need to hire.
Right.
So, and it sounds like that may be where you can help as well.
Exactly. Well, the first step in most all of our engagements is some kind of a diagnostic, a shorter assignment, maybe it's a week or 2 weeks, where the consultant will go in and whether it's a risk assessment or just trying to understand what the problem might be. And oftentimes you do validate what the owner or the manager of the business thinks, but then there are times that you find things that, maybe you didn't think about this. And so from that diagnostic, we're able to provide them with validation about the problem and provide solutions, or say, hey, this might really be more of a symptom than the actual problem. The actual problem is something else. And what you're thinking is a problem is just sort of a symptom of what's, happening over here. And then we'll be in a better position to recommend people that can really help them solve the problem as opposed to fixing the symptom.
Sure. We're speaking with Jim Weber, and Jim is the managing partner of ITB Partners. Jim, I got to ask about your background. Tell us about your career, what led up to ITB Partners, and how you came up with this idea.
Well, I'm a corporate refugee. I spent 22 years traveling across the country, chasing a career. I started off as a financial analyst out of college, and then got into strategic planning at a retail group of $1 billion company. Finished my MBA and then got into general management. So I had responsibility for a lot of people, big P&Ls, and it was mostly in the service sector, franchising companies. So my employers were, first half of my career were specialty food retailers that were also franchising. And then the second half of the career was with restaurant chains that were also franchisors. My last client my last employer actually was Dunkin' Baskin, Dunkin' Donuts, Baskin Robbins.
Yeah, sure.
And I was responsible for 30 markets here in the Southeast for those two brands.
Wow.
And
big job.
It was a big job, a lot of travel. Interesting. After 5 years with those folks, I decided, Atlanta's a great place, and I don't really want to move again. It's a great place to start your own business, and I really want to, follow that path now. So in the beginning of 1999, I got out and hooked up with a friend of mine that was doing executive search, and I became an executive recruiter.